Hey everyone, welcome back to the kitchen for this week's quick tip. Hope you're having a great week, getting out in that sunshine, maybe doing some traveling, having fun, visiting with family and friends. I recently have been doing some traveling, saw some family, visited with some friends, and did some cooking in other kitchens, which is, for me, awesome. I love cooking in other kitchens. This week's quick tip, I wanted to review quickly 5 key essentials, 5 basics you should remember when working in your kitchen, cooking in your kitchen, and how to make things come out great. Always. Number 1, first and foremost, the most versatile piece of equipment you could have in your kitchen, the most imperative one is that simple: sharp knives. Need to make sure that you are keeping your knives sharp at all times. Depending on how often you're using them, how much cooking you're doing, you should be sharpening your knives once a month, maybe once every 3 months, depending on how often you're using them. But make sure you have a good, sharp knife in the house. If you don't have one, get a honing rod or a whetstone. Go up and down on that rod or back and forth on that stone to keep your knives nice and sharp at all times. Trust me, it makes life a lot easier. Number 2, how are you properly storing your herbs, spices? Where are you keeping them all? Things like parsley, cilantro, those are very delicate herbs to cook with. They need to be kept moist in a cool environment, so you definitely want to keep them in the fridge. Where are you keeping all your dried spices? I see people who like to decorate the top of their oven with all their different spices, or maybe they have a spice rack right up against the stove. Some have them in the cupboard. Some keep them in a drawer. Drawer, cupboard, that's fantastic. If you've got stuff on top of your stove or right next to it, move it. Keep those dried spices away from the heat. You don't want a lot of heat on those spices. You don't want too much humidity on them. Dries them out even more. They lose all their flavor. It just becomes dust. Get it out of there. Put them in the cupboard. Throw them in a drawer. Keep them safe somewhere. Number 3, what are you using to cut produce, to cut veggies, to cut meat with at home? Do you have a cutting board? Do you have multiple? Well, I hope you have at least one. If you're cutting directly on the countertop, stop doing it. It's not sanitary. And it's not good for your knives. If you are using a cutting board, whether it's one that has those rubber mats on the bottom that keep it from slipping and sliding, or if it's just a nice wooden one like this, get a paper towel, always. A wet paper towel. So I have 2 here, wetted them, rinsed it out, wetted them. No, not a word. But I wet them, lay it down flat, and press the cutting board right down on top. Even if it's got the rubber things on the bottom, like I said, you still give yourself some extra protection. Put a wet paper towel under there. It keeps it from moving, and this will keep you safe. The last thing you want to happen is for your hands to slip when you're cutting something. Just dangerous. It hurts. Number 4, do you have all the proper tools? Do you have your measuring cups? You have your measuring spoons? You need essential tools in your kitchen. Just like you need essential tools on your workbench to repair something in the garage, you need the same thing in the kitchen to get your meals done right. These spoons came out of the drawer. Big one, little one. This is not a tablespoon. It's actually 1.5. I tested it. This is not a teaspoon. It's actually a little bit less. So when you go digging and trying to find a teaspoon or a tablespoon, because that's what the recipe calls for, get yourself, if you don't already have them, some real tools, some real tablespoons and teaspoons, little measuring cups of all shapes and sizes. If you don't have them, get them. It's fun to collect this stuff, and you'd be shocked how much you're going to use it. Great stuff, huh? Great stuff to have. Number 5, last but not least, might be the most important of all the 5 tips for this week. Recipes. Follow them. That's why those cookbooks are out there. That's why people are making videos like this. If you have a recipe that you are using to create your meal, follow that recipe. If you are, I'm just making it up tonight, so we'll see what happens for dinner, and it turns out fabulous, write it down so you can do it that way next time. I make you a promise. You're not going to get lucky twice. So, if you off the cuff make something and it turns out to be awesome, get it down. Get it in the phone. Get it on a piece of paper. Keep it somewhere. If you're following a recipe given you by somebody else, follow it. Follow it. Follow it. Read them to the letter. I promise you, that'll make life much better for you. And that's it. Those 5 key essentials are basic, often overlooked, and are important to making sure that everything in here is awesome. And that when the food hits the table, people see it, they eat with their eyes, they get excited, and it's beautiful, just like it is when you go out to eat at whatever restaurant you're going to. So keep those in mind. Get your tools. Keep your knives sharp. Keep your cutting boards from sliding around. Follow your recipes and properly store those spices. Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you in a few days. Take care. Bye-bye.